Chickens are pretty fun.
They
I
are.
say this all the time, but honestly, something that I'm really glad about too is how we keep our ducks and chickens in the same run, and we don't have any problems.
No, we have not. I was watching that video of them feeding earlier that you showed me, and they were all like just up in each other's business, like not even caring. They're like pecking food off the ground side by side.
Yep, and especially this time of year as well, during the winter, when there's like snowstorms during the day or it's just a really bitter, cold, windy day, the chickens like to go inside of the duck coop to get out of the wind and be in shelter. And the ducks let them in there. They don't, like, all the birds will just hang out in there if it's cold and windy and they don't bother each other. They get along very, very well.
We are very fortunate in that sense, which is like, as much as I would love more ducks, just because I love ducks, but if we got more, we'd need a bigger coop and probably have to separate them. Because I do hear there is bad luck with if you have too many drakes, and we have not had that problem.
Yes, we only have one drake.
We've only had one of the 7 ducks. Well, we had 2.
Yeah.
Rest in peace, Pippin.
Yeah. Pippin, even as a duckling, wasn't very healthy. He was just, like, I don't know, because I got him off of a coworker who hatched him, and
yeah, she kind of gave us the roughest looking ones, I feel like.
Yeah, she did, which is fine, whatever.
Yeah, I mean, how much did we pay for it?
I fucking for free. I think I had to like force her to take money, so I was like, I'm not gonna complain. And Mary's
been solid.
Yeah, Mary's fine. She's cute. She has duck freckles. But
she is, yeah.
But yeah, having the one drake definitely I think helps with the demeanors of the ducks and like how they get along with the chickens.
I think as long as you have enough hens, your drakes should be okay.
Yeah.
I think it's pretty much similar to roosters.
Yeah.
But Shrek isn't even the dominant duck.
Yeah. I think it's fun that, what's funny too is our male drake, his name is Shrek because he's always muddy and dirty. And
and we do not dynamic duos, so he came with Fiona.
But I think it's funny because one of the shorts that I just recently posted, there's a comment on there talking about
how
small one of the roosters is, and somebody said Lord Farquaad, and I was like, that's just funny because I was like, I don't think we've ever talked about Shrek before, and I was like, it's Lord Farquaad. Yeah, it's funny. That would be a good dynamic name for them, for the rooster anyway, because they are small and dickish. Yeah. That's an excellent name for them.
Yeah, they are. It's funny because we always go with the dynamic duos for the ducks, and I always do a boy and a girl name. No idea, with all the luck of having like all girls, I don't know why I haven't thought like Thelma and Louise or Daphne and Velma or something.
Yeah, pretty much every pair that we've got except for Shrek and Fiona. Well, no, Mary and Pippin were boy and girl.
Mary and Pippin were boy and girl, and then Shrek and Fiona, we inherited those ducks because someone could no longer take care of them.
Yep, and then there's Ro and Big Mama.
And they were Lewis and Clark at first. Oh, I gave them 2 boy names, so.
Yeah.
But I figured Clark could go either way.
And there's Morticia and Gomez. They're both girls.
I still call them Morticia and Gomez, though.
Gomez, whatever. That's fine.
Yeah.
It's like, well, with
They're
Shady.
They're the Cayugas that are all black, so I was
Shady was the Lord Farquaad, but Shady, he got that name because we thought he was a hen.
Yeah.
We thought he was a hen until he started crowing. And I was like, oh, shit.
And the hens get stripper names. So, it was Shadynasty at first. And then we kept trying to think of a wizard name, but we just call him Shady because he's kind of shady nasty.
That's another thing, too. Speaking of us doing things that otherwise say that you shouldn't, like keeping the ducks and chickens together. Another big one that I see all the time is you have to have like 1 rooster for every 12 hens, and we have 3 roosters out of the 13 chickens we have. I think 3 of them are roosters. 3 of them are roosters, and we've never had an issue with them killing each other or fighting too hard.
Not each other.
Now, and it's interesting because 2 of them are absolute demons. but they don't beat each other up too bad.
Uh-uh.
And I find too, if one of them's in trouble, like if I have to grab one of them or he squats
the other
or
one
he
will
yells,
come out and
yeah,
they actually like protect each other.
yeah, they back each other up for sure. And then that big Marin that we have, he's the
So
sweetest.
docile.
He's so sweet and docile.
I hope he stays
I
that
hope
way.
he stays that way.
Because the last time we had a big rooster that was absolutely beautiful.
And he started out really docile too.
Yeah,
And then,
he'd hop on your shoulder and then he pecked my face.
Yep. One day it just flipped a switch and he was mean as hell.
Just rooster being rooster.
Yep.
Except no, because he was being mean to the hens. That was our
final straw. Yeah.
Because it's like, okay, well now he's not protecting the flock.
Yeah, now he's
when
just
it was
an
me
asshole.
and you. Well, he didn't get you. He got me and the house sitter.
Yeah.
We were like, okay, well, he's being a rooster because you do have to take into consideration that roosters are meant to protect the flock. So you do want a slightly aggressive rooster. That's honestly why I love Merlin and Shady, because you can push them off of you with your boot.
Mm-hmm.
But especially Merlin is going down. Like, that dude is gonna fight to protect those hens.
Oh, yeah. I've told this story to you a million times before, but I think it would be good now.
Tell me again, baby.
When I was a kid, I had a rooster named Arthur. He was a buff Brahma, very docile, never like attacked people or did anything. But in the summer, we would let him free range out in the yard, and midday a fox showed up, and that rooster went after and fought the fox, and got killed pretty quickly.
Mm-hmm.
But while he did that, he bought all the other hens time to run away and hide and get up in trees and get somewhere safe. So he saved all of the other hens. And that's what you want. And realistically, that's what you want the roosters to do, is you want, if a fox or some kind of predator comes around, you want him to go sacrifice himself and let everybody else save themselves.
Yeah.
So you don't lose your whole flock.
I saw something so sad.
What?
On the flock page that we follow. I don't want to say the name of the page, but we are part of a social media page that talks about having backyard birds of all kinds. And you get all useful information, and there was just this sad post because someone put a heating element in their coop to keep them warm, and they burnt the coop.
Yeah.
And they were locked in there.
The big thing with the heating element, too, isn't even so much about keeping them warm. It's about keeping them laying eggs.
Yeah.
Because we're experiencing it. We're experiencing it right now. Like, they get in there and they get warm at night. They have good shelter. They huddle together. They're warm. But we don't have heating elements in our coops. And because of that, we
get less eggs.
Yeah, we get like
but
2 eggs a week.
I don't think it's good to force that either.
Yeah.
Like, I think it's better to have, like, if it's going to be that cold out, like cold to the point it's like negative something, I would probably just make shift in our basement, like give them a little area if it was going to be that cold, like, because you don't need to put a heater in your coops.
Yeah.
They keep each other warm. That's why you don't want a big coop, right? That's my understanding, is you want them to be able to huddle together. Well, like, you want it comfortable size, but because you'll see when you open it that they'll all be on one side of that coop. And they all huddle together and keep warm. You'll see which side is dirtier, because we clean it about twice a week. You'll see which side they like to huddle on, because one side will be a lot dirtier than the other side. And then ducks are a new learning curve, because they are pretty resilient to the elements, which I guess makes sense.
Yeah.
If you think about wild ducks and stuff.
Yeah, the waterfowl and stuff like that. They're definitely more cold tolerant than the chickens are.
I just think of how sad that, like, one image was, because, you know, and to admit, like, oh yeah, this was my fault. Like, next time if I'm worried about them being cold, I'm just gonna, because that's what I don't even know if it was a she, that's what the poster was saying, is it wasn't about laying eggs, it was about making sure they were warm. And they said that they'll just make sure they bring them inside next time.
Yeah.
I mean, we're lucky because we have a cellar. So, like, pretty easy cleanup. It's not like you're ruining floors or anything if we had to bring all our birds in.
Yeah. Well, also, too, like, a lot of people obviously they have like soft spots for animals, and especially if your
Oh,
chickens
yeah.
are pets, but they're not like dogs and cats. They're still pretty wild and resilient
Yeah.
animals. They want to be outside. They
Yeah.
want to be in the elements. Yeah, they're
But
pretty
I'm
tough.
saying if it was like negative 10 degrees, I'd be tempted to bring ours in.
Yeah.
Like, that's
Yeah. Well,
pretty brutal.
One thing I've heard, and I've noticed this as well, because sometimes it'll be -10 and the chickens will still be out, or it'll be nighttime and they'll perch up on top outside rather than inside the coop. The chickens will pick safety over comfort every time. So if they are in a high up spot or they're perceived that they are safe from predators, they're going to stay there, even if it's out in the cold, in the elements, in the wet, in the snow, whatever. So
Well,
you
that's
do,
like that when we first
yeah,
moved here, that rooster from one of the neighbors.
yeah. Would perch up outside.
Perch up on our porch.
Yeah.
And we couldn't catch him, unfortunately, because we wanted to make sure he was going to be safe for the night because he just wasn't going into his own coop.
Yeah.
And eventually Fox got him.
Yeah, Fox got him that night, actually. That was sad.
But you had spent an hour trying to catch him.
Yeah, he was tough to catch.
Yeah.
I don't think he'd ever been held much, but
yeah. Well, I mean, most people don't go around holding their birds.
Yeah, and obviously, I think that you brought this up earlier. That's definitely on topic with what we're talking about here. Is there's a lot of stuff that you'll read online that they're going to tell you this is how it is.
Mm-hmm.
There's a lot of there's way more nuance in the stuff that you think, and the coop one is another one. That's another thing. Like they say, you shouldn't keep ducks and chickens together.
Yeah.
We keep them in their own coops, same run. Other than that, we don't have a problem. They say you shouldn't have too many roosters. We got 3 out of 12 hens.
But they haven't attacked each other, and they haven't attacked
they haven't
us.
killed each other, so.
Well, I mean, Marlon and Shady always attack us, but they're little.
Yeah. So yeah, haven't had a crazy problem with that. It's doable. And then the other thing, is there's people saying that you should have a big coop. Not a big coop, but a coop you can walk into, and then you should have roosting bars for them to get up on. The problem with the roosting bars that I don't like is usually it exposes their toes because they are gripping onto like a pole, and then the tips of their toes will get frostbit. And also, if it's in a big area like that, they can't. It's harder for them to share body heat.
Yeah.
If there's a giant area that they're all in, so we have it's almost like a rabbit hutch where they all get inside and they're not like roosted up on anything. They're just in this box and they huddle together. They keep warm. Their feet keep warm. I give them plenty of shavings and bedding in there, and that keeps them out of the elements, keeps them away from predators, and it keeps them warm in the winter. So, and then I have a way to position it so there's more airflow in the summer as well, so it's not super hot for them in there as well. But yeah, you can have a pretty small coop and keep them huddled together at night, and especially if you're in a winter climate, I think that's the way to go.
Well, and I'm not gonna knock anyone's design or what they do because it probably works best for them.
Yeah.
And I think if we were gonna have more than 7 ducks, then we would need to separate them.
Mm-hmm.
But with what we have now and the fact that it's been working, there's no reason to.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. And we've had a couple get sick, but not.
We've only had 2 birds get sick in the 3 years we've had them now.
And he had a rough from the start.
Yeah.
And then it was the other Silky.
Yeah, the other Silky we had didn't.
That one was weirder.
That one was quick. I don't know.
Well, and unfortunately, we didn't know about that medicine beforehand, but now we keep it on hand.
Yeah.
Because that's what that was for.
Vetricin.
Yeah, that.
Yeah, that's what I suspect happened with her. Is she got some kind of worm?
And then by the time it arrived,
and then it just got it real quick.
Well, worms would have spread to the rest of the flock.
Yeah, and it didn't.
So because then you have to treat all of them.
Yeah.
Honestly, they do say even with that Vetricin that if one bird has it, you should almost treat all of them.
Treat everybody. Yeah.
But again, we've only lost 2 birds to health issues. Then we've lost 1 to a hawk.
Yep.
2 to Rosie.
3 to Rosie.
3 to Rosie.
Yeah.
Because the 2 babies and then Roxy.
Yeah, that's I've heard a lot of people say too about breaking. I mean, Rosie's a different story. I don't think would break her.
So yeah, for an example, like for information, Rosie is our rescue dog.
Yeah.
And she's definitely very special needs. She's got pretty decent hip dysplasia. She's always happy, which is good. But she doesn't learn. Like she really doesn't. Like there's little things she'll learn, and I don't think it's her being hard headed. I think it's her forgetting. Like
Yeah, I think
I don't think it's a
I think she's actually a special needs dog.
Yeah, there's nothing going,
there.
and when we rescued her, they told us there was something neurologically wrong.
Yeah,
and I don't know if it's neurological. I just think she's she's sweet and dumb. And I mean, everyone says dogs are dumb, but she is dumb.
Well, you even have good dogs too. Like that's the dog's instinct is to like hunt stuff.
Yeah.
Like they, especially if you feed, like they know that's chicken. They know that like they can smell really well, so they can smell their food and then smell that bird and know it's the same thing.
Well, and we definitely think she was malnourished when we first picked her up because she's pretty food. I don't like using the term aggressive because she won't bite you, but like you can't like if you try and pull her bowl away, she stuffs her face in faster and that kind of stuff. But like she's very sweet.
Yeah.
And I know she doesn't like me, but man, what sucked is I wouldn't have been as mad as if she had just ate the birds, but she didn't eat them.
Yeah, she just killed them.
Yeah.
That's it. Well, like people say, if you get coyotes that get into your run, coyotes will do that. They'll just mass murder everybody and then not eat any of them. Not eat any of them. They'll just get in there and kill everybody.
I hear raccoons will do that too. They'll kill everybody, but they usually take at least one.
So it's really common with dogs too. Yeah. Like to just if you let them loose in the coop, they'll just kill them.
Yeah, and honestly, to me, that's our responsibility. We know Rosie is not good with the chickens.
Yep.
So it's our responsibility to make sure we keep her off or keep her leashed if they're out or keep her away from them. Even Watson's good with the chickens, which is our other rescue dog.
Yeah,
he's I think he's pretty hyper intelligent because he is very sensitive to being told anything. If his sister gets yelled at, he's sensitive about it. But he's good with the chickens, but I still wouldn't trust him alone with the chickens either.
Yeah.
You know? The only time I've seen him like go to break up chickens is he really doesn't like when the roosters are on top of a hen. So he'll go break it up.
Yeah.
Because he thinks the rooster's being mean or something, I don't know.
Yeah,
but even then, it's not like he nips or anything. He just goes over there because he knows they'll both go away. And I'm like, man, he doesn't even know what a boner killer he's being.
No, I know.
But it's actually cute watching Watson go break him up because he thinks the hen is getting hurt. Because, I mean, it is pretty brutal looking.
Yeah. Yeah,
but he's good. Like, I just, again, wouldn't trust him alone with the hens. Because I wouldn't want to risk it.
Yeah, I wouldn't either.
And the Roxy one was, I still take fault for that. Like,
yeah, that one was heartbreaking.
She was our favorite hen, and I had just gotten home from work, and I was trying to get dinner started, and Rosie bum rushed me out the door. And I'm like, okay, she'll be fine for like 30 seconds, which turned into like 2 minutes. And I didn't know that the little hen had gotten out of the coop.
Yeah, at the time, for context of the story too, the little hen had went Brody. We already had a couple Brody hens that were in the coop. So she kept getting kicked off the nest because she was small. So she would escape the coop and start a nest outside the coop in the bushes. And so every day she'd go out there and lay her eggs, and then she'd sit on her eggs all day. And at night, I'd have to grab her and bring her back into the coop. And on this night, she was out protecting her eggs, sitting on them, and our dog Rosie ran over there, found her. The chicken didn't run away. She was protecting her eggs, and Rosie ate her. Didn't eat her, just killed her.
Yeah, it made me sad.
Yeah, it was a sad story. She was such a good hen.
Oh, I was definitely on my husband's shit list for that night.
Yeah. Oh well.
You got over it pretty
It's gonna
quick,
happen.
but,
Like, if you have chickens, if anybody's ever thinking of getting chickens,
you
you've
gotta
got to
expect
understand.
loss.
You have to understand right when you get them, you're gonna lose some. You're
Yeah.
gonna lose some to your mistakes. You're gonna lose some just because, like, they're gonna die more often than just a regular pet.
Yeah.
Like, it's gonna happen. You
Well,
just have to accept that.
I remember you had to mentally prepare me for that when we first started
Yeah.
getting birds. To me, it's so crazy. The ones like, remember the Americanas and the state that you got them shipped in?
Oh yeah.
They all survived.
Yeah. I worked at a feed store at one point, and they would overnight the baby chickens during like chick season, and there was one that got lost in the mail. It got held up somehow, and it took it 4 days to get to the feed store. And these poor babies all died. And inside the box, just a pile of dead babies. There was 4 in there that were still alive. And the store was like, "Yeah, just write those off. We won't sell those because they were in rough shape." So I took them home and just raised
We
them back
nursed
up.
them back to health.
Yep. One of them died that night. One of them was in really rough shape. And then we had 3 that lived a while. One of those 3 ended up being a really mean rooster. That we
Yeah,
had to get rid of.
Radagast. But we still have the 2 Americanas.
Yep. And then the other 2
Yeah.
we still have. They are very, very good.
Yep.
Fun chickens.
One's a spaz, but
One's a spaz. They have fun personality. One's
Yeah.
really sweet, really personable, and the other's a spaz.
she's like, "Don't come near
Kind of
me,"
a bitchy
basically.
spaz. Yeah. She'll peck your hands.
Oh yeah, she's
She's bitch.
she's yeah.
It's fun watching their personalities.
It is, because they do get personalities, and I think what was so heartbreaking is Roxy Man was just this small little trooper, and she was an Old English bantam.
But like, also talking about like, yeah, you have to expect that you're gonna lose some from mistakes. Sometimes it's not even like mistakes that like easy mistakes you make. Like when we first moved the baby chickens from inside to outside. The first time they're in the coop.
Oh, yeah.
I had never had any chickens inside this coop before. I thought I had it secured pretty well and that the chickens weren't going to be able to get out. Well, there was an area that I was unaware of that they figured out they could squeeze out of.
And that was the other Old English that was also very small.
And when that happened, I noticed they were outside. I went outside to go corral them back in, and a hawk came down and snagged one of these little Old English, and I watched it carried away. And I was devastated. I was like, if I was like a minute sooner, I would have been fine.
Because we're animal people, so you really do wish the best, and it does break your heart when you lose them. Like,
yeah,
I'll never forget those olive eggers that, like, in that, man, that was just because you thought the door latched and it didn't.
Yeah, I thought the door, we had the baby chicks in a little brooder in our back room. We keep the door shut when they're in there to keep the dogs and the cat and everyone from messing with them.
The cat's actually pretty good.
Yeah, one morning I went out to go feed and water the birds that were outside, and the door wasn't latched, and the dog went in there, knocked the thing over, and killed the 2 birds that were in there. I was devastated that day too.
Well, but that's like another mistake, right?
Yeah.
You know, I had my mistake. You
at
had
that point
yours,
though. At that point too, the dog hadn't killed any chickens yet.
Yeah, so we weren't.
So I think
sure,
I think honestly, I blame myself. I think I had gotten careless and was like, she'll be fine, and I wasn't super disciplined about checking the door. So yeah, that's a mistake I made. But
I wonder what other people's experience with cats are, because ours will hang out in the yard while they're all eating.
Yeah, he has no desire to.
But if he sees a robin, he'll go after a robin.
Mm-hmm.
That's what's crazy to me. It's like he knows. It's almost like Bub knows that those are friend birds.
Yeah.
And then, or maybe they're just, because we have some small chickens, like that Silky, and even when we had the Old Englishes, that I thought Bub would maybe go after them. Like, some of the bigger chickens I wasn't worried about.
Yeah.
But I do wonder, because you never hear about people's cats, but yeah, my cat will hang out in the yard and sunbathe with all the chickens around him. That is another pet peeve I see from that social media page that we're on, is people getting up in arms when dogs do get out and kill their chickens.
Yeah.
And then they're like, well, that dog deserves to be put down. And I'm like, oh, hold up.
Yeah, that's my thing too. I get a lot of people are like, they love their chickens and they're like pets to them, and that's how they see them. But let's be real here. Like, a dog's life is more valuable than a chicken's life. It is.
Even because
It is.
because dogs are so blindly loyal to you.
Yeah.
It's like it breaks my heart
It's
when
like
dogs are in their homes because they just love you.
Well, it's like one lives in the house with you, shares a bed with you, shares a living quarters with you, and the other one is outside in a
dogs
box.
are family.
Yeah. One's outside in a box. And to say that it's like, oh, that dog's gotta die because it killed that thing in the box is like, come on, really?
Well, to me, too, like, dogs are family. And people do their best to control their dogs. And I know, even being the best,
mistakes.
even being the best neighbors that you can be, like, sometimes your dogs are gonna run out and stuff.
Yeah.
Now, I mean, if it happens 3 or 4 times, then yeah, maybe you need to be like, put up a fence or put your dog on a leash or...
Yeah, if it's a frequent thing, then
it's
you gotta
different. But I still don't think the dog needs to be put down. I think the owners need to be more responsible with their dog. When it's, especially if they're going in the neighbor's yard and killing their hens and stuff. Because chickens are not cheap. There's a lot of upfront costs with chickens.
Yeah.
And so it's almost like you're losing out on a lot. Like, if you have a good laying hen that lays regularly and a dog gets in and kills that's a profit loss, especially if you're selling your eggs. Yeah. Now, we don't do that. But, like, I do get why people get upset, and I'm not saying they shouldn't be upset, but to be like, oh, dogs should be put down, that's because, I don't know, something about people who don't like dogs just always rubs me the wrong way.
Yeah, me too.
Me too. Because, I mean, they are so blindly loyal. Our cat is not that way. We are blindly loyal to him.
Yeah.
We are his subservience, and he is God. Mm-hmm. But our dogs, man, they just love us.
Yeah.
Especially Rosie. Because, man, she's so happy every time we come home. Like, imagine how dull it would be to come home and not having Rosie hop excitedly that you're home. Even though, she's mostly excited because she's getting dinner because you're home. Yeah. And then, each of our dogs have their special personalities. Watson's our little ball of anxiety, but even this house would be lonely without all of his talking and stuff.
Yeah, animals having the personalities is a fun thing. And that is something that I actually really do adore about the chickens.
Yeah, they do.
Chickens have personalities. And it's fun, like, when they're babies, they're fluffy, you see them, it's whatever. But it's so fun when they get older and they're adults and you see them every day. You start to realize, like how we just described the Americanas. Yeah. One is really sweet, can come up to you, you can pick her up.
Oh, very friendly. She's so sweet. The blonde one,
and
right?
Then, and then the gray one is a bitch.
Yeah.
And it's like, that's just their personality.
I liked the ones that were bathing in that tree stump that one day.
Yeah.
They were so cute. There was like 3 of them rolling around in the dirt there. Ducks, though, too. And I touched this, I think, earlier in another podcast episode, but Shrek, our one male duck, isn't even like the lead of the pack. He's pretty submissive to all the other ducks.
Yeah.
And it's actually the Roe that used to be Lewis or Clark. I don't know because their names changed instantly. But Rowan, man, she's the bossy one, and I just feel like she's sassy because she is the loudest. She's definitely our loudest duck. The Cayugas are cool because they're quiet, but Ro leads the pack.
Yeah.
Because she'll honk if someone's not following her until they catch up and follow. And I've noticed, even the Cayugas and there was no problems with their transition into the coop. Mm-hmm. No one, I think maybe Mary was a little salty with day one, but other than that, there was no other problems. And then they just fit right in. They follow around Ro, and Ro's the boss. The only 2 I'll see hang back are Shrek and I think Big Mama, or is it Shrek and Fiona? I don't know which one Shrek stays by. The pecan, because they're all 3, Shrek, Fiona, and Big Mama. We call her Big Mama. She's never had babies. I don't know why Big Mama just stuck.
I guess because she was fat when she was little.
But they're all pecans, so they're hard to differentiate between Fiona and
Big Mama.
Big
yeah.
Mama. So I don't know which one, but Shrek will hang back. Like, he doesn't always follow Ro, and he'll hang back with one of the other Peakins. But that's because poor buddy doesn't move very good.
Yeah, he has bad legs for sure.
I definitely think Peakins are more designed to be meat birds and layers. Well, they're layers, though, too.
Mm-hmm.
But I don't know. Like, he's had foot problem and foot problem. Even Big Mama's had a foot problem. Luckily, hers is, like, fully recovered.
Yeah.
Because she moves around good now.
I've read that it's common for Peakins to have a lot of tendon issues. And they have problems with the tendons in their knees and their ankles. I think Big Mama had Bumblefoot, and that was her problem. Oh. But I think Shrek has some tendon issues because it's his knees that bother him. I noticed.
But he's still happy. Like, he moves around.
He still gets around. He still eats. He still drinks. He loves lounging in the grass. You know, all his harem of girls surround him all the time. He just lounges in the mud.
I do love rescuing, but I think the perk of getting a puppy would be to introduce them to the chicks early on. Yeah. You know? Because where we rescued Rosie at about 1.5 or 2, whatever they said, and then Watson, we got it like... Well, and also when we rescued them, we didn't have chickens either. So there's that as well. This is new for them like it is us. Watson, man, I just think he's very emotionally intelligent, too. Like, he can tell Mom and Dad love these birds. Yeah. Don't hurt them. And poor Rosie, man, she's just not there. Yeah. So, but I do think, like, in the future of having dogs and stuff, I think I would try. I'm still it's very, like, you know me, I've dreamed about having Rottweilers because I grew up with a pair of Rottweilers that were awesome and gentle and sweet. And they're like a natural herding dog. That's why I really like them. And again, I just haven't had bad experiences. And then I have dreams of having other different breeds of dogs just because I like those breeds. I have good experience. But when push comes to shove and it's time for us to, get another dog, I'm still going to be leaning towards rescue. I'll probably try and find, like, a rescue where you can get, like, a puppy. Yeah. And just keep your eye out for puppies. Because at the end of the day, like, those dogs need homes. And, I mean, yeah, we're not stopping any breeders from breeding by being one family that doesn't purchase puppies. Like, everybody's gonna have their thing. But it's hard for me, when it comes down to it, to not rescue. Yeah. Especially because so many pit mixes, and I love pits. Like, in the pit mixes. So many pit mixes are always up for adoption and lab type dogs, Mm-hmm. I'm not picky, I don't want like a Chihuahua or anything that's smaller than my cat. That's not me. Yeah. That one dog your aunt has. Oh yeah. That like vibrates.
He's like a Shih Tzu or something.
No. He's a teacup,
He's the Wizard of Oz dog, like what Dorothy had.
No, Toto was bigger than him. I know they named him Toto, but Toto's the Wizard of Oz dog. Oh. No, he's definitely a teacup something, like, because he is tiny. Yeah. Like, Bub is twice the size of him.
Oh, yeah, he is pretty tiny.
He's probably a mix of something. But anyways, I know we're getting off track talking about dogs and stuff, but I do love our dogs. And I will probably always be a rescue person over
Yeah, I will too. I like mutts.
Yeah. Well, and mutts are hardier, usually, too. Yeah. They're usually hardier. I've been thinking lately, because I always dream of the dogs that are good, like, sitting on a paddleboard, and they'll paddleboard with you and stuff. I'd like to get, like, a mixed breed of one of those, like, type of dogs that has a little more energy that would push us to do more too. Yeah.
Yeah, that's true. Because these guys they love lazy. They love being lazy.
I think,
look at him right now.
I think even Watson, you would think, because he is built like your standard shepherd.
Yeah, he's an Israeli Canaan.
Yeah,
for reference.
Yeah. But he's built like a shepherd, so you would think he'd want to be more athletic. And we've tried, like, from very start of when we would have him, we'd run him in the yards and take him on walks, like. But the boy, especially if it's hot out, which is funny because he's from a desert, he wants to be inside.
Yeah.
Now, if it's snowing, you can't get him inside, especially if it's that fat, fluffy snow. He loves to just sit out there. He loves to play in it. So half the time, we'll just put him on his leash because we don't have a fence, so we don't want him going over to the neighbors. He's usually pretty good about staying in the yard, but again, don't want to risk it. And we'll put him on the leash, and he'll just sit at the end of the stairs getting snowed on. He loves it.
Oh yeah, that
It's
is
so
a
funny
weird observation
because
too.
he's
Like,
from the desert.
yeah, these Israeli Canaans are a popular dog breed in the Middle East, and they are from the deserts of the Middle East, and it's
and we
crazy.
rescued him from Jordan.
Yeah, we rescued him from Jordan, so they're definitely like a very heat tolerant dog. But if it's hot out, he doesn't just like it. He wants nothing to do with it if it's hot out.
Yeah.
Like he pees, he poops, back in the house, back in the
instantly.
AC. He is not having any of that.
And then in the morning before we leave for work, when we try and get him to go out, oh my god, he is a lazy morning dog.
Yeah, he is.
In the morning, he hates being woke up. He's like you. He takes after you that way.
Yep. But if it's snowing out,
oh yeah,
he's in heaven.
Yeah,
he's in heaven if it's snowing.
He would let us leave him out on the leash all day while we were at work.
Yeah. I found that pretty interesting about him. Well,
I was thinking like because I'm thinking of what's like common at like shelters and stuff, and I think like a lab mix or a collie mix would be cool to like be able to take kayaking or paddleboarding. I do want to get paddle boards next summer.
Yeah, I'd be about that.
I know I haven't tried it, but I'm sure I'm gonna love it. Maybe just one paddleboard, and you can kayak while I paddleboard, because I know there's no reason for you to really get a paddleboard.
Yeah.
Because you don't like getting in and out of the water. That's why we got me the open top kayak too, is because I like getting in and out of the water.
Mm-hmm.
And that one's nice because you can sink it, but then it drains all the water out. Like, so like if I'm trying to go from where I can't touch and back onto it, like instead of like a normal kayak where if you tilt it and it starts to fill, you're gonna have a sunken kayak. But this one, if water overfloods the top, that's okay. It has holes where the water runs right out. It's a really nice design. And you like that kayak because it's very nicely equipped for fishing.
Yeah. I felt bad. Last fall, me and my buddy took those kayaks.
Oh, yeah. Out. And I forgot that you get wet.
It was right at the beginning of fall, and we took it up north early in the morning. So it was probably 40 degrees out. It was pretty cold morning, and we were going to take the kayaks out, do a little fishing. It was going to be nice. Beautiful lake, Lake Chicora. Mm-hmm. And we took it out there, and he's a heavier guy. He's a big dude. And when he sat in it, those holes in the bottom flooded all the area where his legs are at. So his pants were just soaking wet, and it's 40 degrees out.
It's not a good kayak unless you plan on getting wet.
So
because even I was fine, and I forgot to tell you guys that too. I don't know why I didn't think of that.
Yeah.
But that's not a kayak you stay dry in.
Yeah.
It's just not.
I didn't know that because I had never been in there. I had never been in that.
Yeah, and I hadn't thought about telling you guys either because I just didn't think about it because to me, like, being wet, like, you get wet and you're like a fucking cat. You notice it and you're like instantly want to be dry. And I get wet and I'm like, oh, this is normal. Like, I mean, for reference, my job has been aquatics for the past 15 years, teaching swim lessons, lifeguarding. You know, I swam in high school, like, yeah. I'm definitely a water child. Weirdly, I do prefer the mountains over the ocean, though. The ocean...
I do, too.
The ocean's a little more... Well, yeah, you don't like getting wet, so of course you prefer the mountains.
True.
Now, I prefer lakes over mountains.
Nah, I still prefer mountains.
Well, yeah, because you don't like getting wet.
I don't know why that is.
I don't know. I can't tell you. Mm-hmm. Remember our honeymoon?
Oh, yeah. On our honeymoon, we went to Vermont, and we stayed in a cabin that my family has.
It's September.
And it was September, early September though, so it was still like kind of warm enough to swim. It was a little cooler. But there's a nice swimming hole along this river. We brought some tubes down, and I floated around on the tube and was drinking a beer. And of course, Erica loves swimming. So she gets in the water and
It was
swims.
cold.
It was cold. But I started to drift away in the tube, and Erica's already in the water, so she started to pull me on the tube back to shore while I sat on the tube and drank my beer. So that was our honeymoon. It was me sitting on the tube, relaxing, drinking a beer, and she was swimming and pulling me around like a sled dog.
And I was having a blast doing it.
The ox, dude.
Yeah, I don't know. Do ox swim?
They pull stuff.
I know they pull stuff. They swim though.
The ox, dude.
It's just so funny, like how that's a big opposite for us. Where you can't. It doesn't matter what time of year, you can't put me next to a body of water and like expect me not to get in it.
Yeah.
So, like, for my friend's bachelorette, like, we went to the hot springs in March, and it's up in the mountains, and it was cold in Colorado.
Mm-hmm.
And so there's the hot springs, there's 3 bodies of water. There is a 90-degree pool, and a 103-degree pool, and then there was a 32-degree pool. And the bride-to-be wanted to jump in that. And what kind of bridesmaid am I to let her jump in that freezing water alone? And of course, like, you see the people doing it. Like, people do it, they'll scream, and I go, okay, if we're gonna do this, we're swimming all the way across. And I go, we're swimming all the way across, because none of the other bitches are doing it. So we swam all the way across.
Show them bitches up.
Yeah. We swam all the way across, and then, we were the only 2 of the bridal party that did it.
Damn.
I think a couple others like dipped up to their hips in, but not past. And that, but also she worked in aquatics with me too. That's how I knew her, and how she's a badass now. So, but we swam across. We got out because there was a picnic table across, and there's no way to walk around. We learned that after swimming across.
Nice.
Yeah. So we caught our breath, and we swam back in the 32-degree water. And then, as fun as it was as a kid, because you don't realize the consequences of jumping from, ice-cold snow to the hot tub. Mm-hmm. The worst part was once we got back, we had to get out, and we had to wait for a minute before we could go in the 90-degree water and then the 103-degree water, because we didn't want to give our bodies shock. And we had a nurse with us and a bunch of lifeguards, so we all knew the rules. And it was funny though, because you get out of that 32-degree water and the air is warmer.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
That happened.
Wasn't bad, and then we let our body get to a regular temperature, and then we went to the 90-degree and warmed up.
Yeah, that happened to me once when I was in high school. I ran track in high school, and I did a New Year's Day 5K that ended with you jumping in the ocean.
The Hangover Classic
on New Year's Day in Massachusetts. So this day there was snow on the ground. It was like 27 degrees or something, and I jumped into the Atlantic Ocean. And that exact moment happened where I got in the water, it's cold, I get out, and the 27-degree air felt warm. Yeah. That's how cold the water was. And it was like, oh, damn. Yeah.
Well, luckily you lived, close to that site at the time. So It's not like you were going to be freezing for long.
You take all your clothes off. I just had, spandex on. So... Yeah, so I had dry clothes to immediately put on, and then we went straight to the cars.
Yeah.
So... Yeah.
I had a coworker who did that this year, that same run that you're talking about, and this year the ocean was too rough. They wouldn't let him jump in.
Yeah. Alright.
Fucking nasty, dude.
I know.
Better cut that out.
Easy.
Just leave it. Leave you hacking on the thing.
Then I'll definitely cut that out.
I'm good though.
Yeah, I'm good as well.
So I gotta
That was 45 minutes. We definitely recorded at least 3 episodes today, though.
Do you want the rest